We are live. Welcome to my video. This is going to be my thoughts on The Walking Dead Season 4 Episode 11, Claimed. The Observer is rated TVMA, so will this video be like all other videos I've done on the show so far? Absolutely love this episode. There will be spoilers for the episode and all the ones leading up to it. Let's dive right in. So, yeah, lots to talk about. I think I will start with the opening. This thing of, Abraham, taking out several walkers, and Tara noting, "You're smiling." I'm not used to seeing people smile when they kill zombies, later she says, "Oh, because you're such a good person," which it's one of those things, takes one to know one. It kind of, I know I'm not a good person. And I don't think you are either. So that's, some really cool walker deaths here. I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry. When I see someone bludgeon the head of a walker and blood spraying out like that, yeah, it scratches an itch. What can I say? This also has some really cool aggressive-looking walkers, like when they're attacked and the doctor does not do the best job with the gun. One of them, like, holy crap, he looked angry. I think that pretty well covers the opening. I really like the thing about, Tara wrote down on her arm, she wrote down every turn they made, she can find their way. It's just, she's very, very, she's trying to make amends, I kind of like how Glenn did not say thank you very much in this. Like, he said, "I'm sorry about the gas tank," or the truck, I guess he said, but, he didn't spend a lot of time thanking them for saving his life and the whole thing, because he's upset that they drove him so far away from Maggie. Understandable. Let's stay with that group for a little bit. He wakes up and he's, where are we? And, understandably, she's like, "I'm not sure, I don't have a mini-map. I don't know what to tell you. This is not, And he, like, knocks on, "Stop the car," and he gets a fairly clear nonverbal answer. And then he starts breaking the glass. And, the truck has stopped. And what's the word? He starts walking away from the truck that's in his life. And, understandably, Abraham's like, "We need all the manpower we can get," and we get some typical, I want to make clear, I do think it's cultural, I don't think it's genetic, but some men just can't, hear something they don't want to hear without hitting the person. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, Abraham isn't really trying to be like a jerk to Glenn. He is saying, I do think Abraham is worse for how he fights back, trying to, like, strangle Glenn. Excuse me. Suppressing a sneeze, because those are not the most photogenic. There we go. Pretty sure it's gone. I'm more sympathetic to Glenn, but he also shouldn't have. Let's see, and I did appreciate, Abraham, like, does catch himself. He's like, when a loved one kicks the... is gone, disappears, I think he says, I think that might just about... Right, I did quite like, Abraham almost being, like, he's, like, attacking the female walker, and then he's like, oh shit, I may have fucked up. You know, that was pretty funny. But yeah, you know, because of the breakout of excess manliness. Shit, it's been too long since I watched that movie. Yeah. And the two women trying to, you know, understandably trying to stop the fight. Yeah, suddenly the doctor's alone, and, you know, at first it's just like one walker, and then two, and then multiple more. And the poor guy's struggling with the, you know, I don't blame him. He's probably not had, like, training for this sort of thing. Yeah, he does kind of make a mess of things, which I guess by the definition of Mei-Mei's parents means he's playing. But yeah, he's trying. He is trying to resolve the matter, and he did call for the others and didn't get a response. So yeah. I gotta say, I feel like the doctor might be coded as being on the autistic spectrum, and considering, like, so far it's neutral to positive depiction, so yeah, I'm in favor of it. I mean, so the evidence in favor. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and Ted, who's hardly a gentleman, after being asked, you know, how did you kill our truck? He gives a very, like, let's see if I remember it right. I think he said standing upright and mishandling a small arms weapon or something like, yeah, I might be laying it on slightly thick, but it was something along those lines, you know, and not long after he says, we can find another vehicle. We know that way is safe because we came from there, and it was, you know, we've cleared some of the way. We do not know if the other way is safe. Let's go. Come on, I'm smarter than you. Those feel like the kinds of things that an autistic person would say. But yeah, I mean, he's trying to be helpful. He's, you know, he clearly is smart. Like, it's true. It is the smart move to go back, you know, the way they came. Yeah, and the little joke about, you know, I'm smarter than you. Yeah, I've known autistic people who would say that, and I say that with love. Yeah, I think that does cover that group. So I think I will tackle Rick next, much like at least one of the guys in the house tried to. Yeah, I think I'll do the stuff with him without the, yeah, without Carl's Jr. and Michonne. So, yeah, you know, I quite appreciate we hear it before he does. You know, we just hear, like, noises. Honestly, at first, I wasn't sure, is this like a flashback? Is he remembering something he had to deal with? Is something like PTSD nightmare or something? But no, you know, he wakes up, the noises are still there, yeah. And I quite appreciate, they were very, very careful with this. One of the first things we hear is someone saying, he deserved, or deserves that. So these are not good people. These are not what you would call stand-up citizens. You know, yeah. And I adore the decision to keep it in from his point of view. Like, for a while of this, you'd be forgiven if you think that the house is being, like, you know, that the people coming into the house now are, like, sentient legs, you know, because for so much of it, he doesn't really get a good look at them. There's several of them we never get a good look at, you know. Yeah. Yeah, reminded me of, like, one of the animated Disney dog movies, you know. Big fan of those. They're really good. Screw Disney, but I do enjoy a lot of their output. Yeah. Let's see. No, it's the workers that I hold in high regard, not the company. The company needs to treat those workers better. Anyway, further evidence that these are not the best of people. One of them tries to kill another over a fucking bed. Like, just, Jesus Christ. Yeah. And it's such a good, because, like, Rick keeps, you know, he's, like, under the, you know, he's hiding under there. I just made you say underwear. And, that doesn't even fucking work. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, anyone who's seen the episode knows what I mean. Yeah, you know, he's hiding down there, and, you know, he makes sure to get the book, and he's like, the bottle, gotta get that down there, you know, so they don't realize. That, yeah, exhibit number 3, when they realize that there's a woman, you know, one of them says he calls dibs. And one of the others doesn't immediately say, don't talk about women like that. He says, well, she might already have someone. Yeah. Maybe she's got a blow-up boyfriend. Throwback. Yeah, right, yeah, him, you know, under the bed. And then, you know, one of them lays down and weighs on him, and like, on, you know, we're thinking, like, that's probably uncomfortable for Rick, having, you know, all that weight. Like, the bed takes some of the weight, sure, but still, he's being squeezed. And any second now, if this keeps going, you know, like, toothpaste is going to come out his mouth or something. But yeah, we're also thinking, can the other person feel that? Because, like, you know what it feels like to lay in a bed just like normally. So if someone's under the bed and you're pressing up against them, you might be able to feel. But, you know, thankfully, both of them are so fucking tired, they just, like, fall asleep immediately. I did quite like the line, did you wake me up just to ask if I was comfortable? You know, this is, yeah. But yeah, one of them chokes the other, and then it's like, is he gonna see Rick? And of course he does, and he starts saying, like, let go of me, Len, and the other guy is like, no, I sure as fuck won't. Because he's thinking, that was also, just real quick, I did notice in this episode, Abraham certainly also has a mouth on him. So I guess either he was being facetious when he said, you have a mouth on you, to Tara, or maybe he's one of those guys who think that it's okay for men but not women to swear, which is just ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, you know, the other guy won't let go. Len won't let go. Because he thinks that, you know, the other guy's going to try to steal the bed. He doesn't realize he's about to say, there's someone under, you know, there's someone in your back seat. I mean, under the bed. And, yeah. The guy isn't quite dead. And he definitely saw Rick. So it's like, well, now he's got to get the fuck out of there. Like, there's no way he can be safe if he stays there, you know. And he hides in one of the rooms, and you know, one of the guys is like, Torrance jacking it off, you know, throwing tennis ball against the wall, walks past. You know, we see the pile of video games that Carl was admiring earlier, and he's like, can't believe we got a zombie apocalypse before we got GTA 6. And, you know, Rick trying to find a window that will fucking open without him having to break the glass, you know, because that's going to attract attention. And yeah. Because they haven't been opened in so long, you know, they're kind of stuck. And also, like, no, like, I forget, oil, I think, is what you use to get stuff like that to not stick too much. Yeah, and he goes into a room thinking it's empty, and, you know, it's like the bathroom. I think he's taking a crap, dude. And, yeah, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure he would have attacked Rick anyway, but, yeah, Rick attacks first, you know, with the trophy, I believe it is, you know, and manages to like, choke, strangle the guy with the band from, yeah, and, you know, the guy trying to get to the scissors, which, like, might win him the fight. Like, if he managed to, like, jab that into Rick's eye or something, which wouldn't be difficult, you know, or, I mean, just, like, jam it at some part of his face, he's probably gonna let go of you, and you do have the gun, so, yeah. You know, like, his internal monologue is, I need scissors 62. I haven't actually played that, I've just heard others make the reference. Does that line make any more sense in context? Anyway, yeah, he just barely manages to get out, and you know, there's the guy right there, and then he sees Carl and Michonne. It's like, that's such a great ticking clock too. Just yeah, and yeah, it's like, how the fuck is he gonna do? And I think he was about to, like, maybe try to yank the guy down, which I do think there would work, and then he can just run over and yell, you know, we got to get out of here or something. Hope the guy isn't ready to shoot before they're safe. But thankfully the place is attacked by walkers. Never thought I'd hear myself say those words out loud. Yeah, I mean, if he did manage to kill the guy, then it's only in the bathroom, then it's only the guy who saw him under the bed who even knows someone was in there, and there's some chance they die from the walkers. Like, it sounded like it didn't sound that much like they were in full control. And it's also like, I mean, are you really gonna go on some kind of, like, ridiculous quest for revenge when the guy did not do that much? Like, what is this, Rambo Last Blood? I think that does bring us nicely to the, yeah, so Carl, Michonne, and sometimes Rick, yeah, the breakfast, you know, and girl's like, really? And she's like, I cannot believe, do you have something to say about my very comfortable and very nice shirt? I'm sorry, I really love this iteration of Michonne. I'm so glad that she's become so much more, like, well-adjusted, like, socially, you know, just, it's so great to see just the, you know, babysitter Michonne, like, just, yeah. And yeah, you know, they talk about cereal, and you have the thing about, you know, oh, I wish I had some soy milk. Ah, you gotta be kidding. I puked. Did you? Well, almost. She saw through him like nothing, like, just like he is a pane of glass to her. Does just, yeah, you know. and yeah, you know, he's like, I'd rather drink powdered milk. I'd rather drink some of Judith's formula. And then he's like, oh shit, because he still thinks she's dead, you know. And yeah, it's such a great, the show is so good at these little moments where, like, just briefly they get to forget what has happened, how terrible the situation is, and then they're reminded of it, you know. Just, yeah. And yeah, Michonne goes to the kitchen. Rick is like, thank you, I'm glad you made him laugh. And then he abruptly stopped laughing. I hope that's not a bad sign. And, you know, Michonne is like, do you have any formula left? Because Carl is apparently jonesing for it. And yeah, the point about, you know, I can't be both his dad and his best friend, and that is, you know, that's something a lot of parents go through, you know, yeah. Yeah, and the thing about, you know, I'll go with, which, like, yeah, that probably would have saved him a lot of trouble, but it would have caused us a really awesome, like, subplot, I guess it qualifies as. Yeah, And, you know, she points out, remember yesterday? No, you don't, because you were passed out for, like, most of the day. So maybe stay put, you know, and yeah, I mean, how were they supposed to know that, you know, someone else would be coming that way, and just, yeah. Right, and they are on their way to Terminus, which means that at some point they might meet back up with Carol, Tyrese, and the kids, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it, because I think Carol might try to talk him out of telling Tyrese, considering circumstance, and I don't know if he's going to be okay with it. I mean, it was one thing when they thought they had the prison, and, you know, they lost that, and a lot of people. Yeah. Let's see. I think that pretty well gets us back out of the house. Yeah. Really, the thing when, you know, Carl is being kind of quiet, and Rick is like, "Are you sure you're okay?" And Michonne does a little, you know, winks with the right eye and everything, and she, you know, she's like, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. You know, it's just, yeah. And yeah, you know, he's got the spray can, and she's like, "Did you get me my cheese whiz, boy?" And yeah, the thing about, you know, the it's unopened. You know, are you sure you don't want any? And, you know, I thought she might spray, like, on him or in his mouth when she's, like, running up to be next to him, but it's actually, in her own mouth, and, you know, it's a joke. And, yeah, he's not super receptive to it. And depending on, like, I don't know if Denai Guerrera, like, either loves or hates, like, you know, like, you know, we know that the actor playing Carl got really sick of chocolate pudding after all those, so yeah. And then we have a really great, like, I think it's not an exaggeration to call it a breakthrough. Michonne actually opens up to Carl. You know, she goes up to him and is like, I know teenage boys don't find me that funny, but toddlers think I'm hilarious, you know. And then, yeah, she finally yeah, she's letting him in, you know. And I do appreciate also, at first he's like, "You mean you've had a past this whole time and just never told me?" Which is like, it's just, yeah, it's a very teenagery thing to not think about. Well, I mean, yeah, of course she had a past. Like, I don't think any of the adults would have been like they might have been like, you know, took you this long to, you know, start talking about this, but like he's basically, yeah. And she sets rules, you know, every room we clear, you get to ask one question and I'll answer it. You know, that was just, yeah, you know, homework. And you know, yeah, it's a good, you know, I've heard a number of parents say, you know, that is a good way to do, you know, give them some kind of reward as they do chores, you know, and it's the zombie apocalypse, so yeah, clearing rooms is a chore now. And yeah, you know, we're told a little bit about Andre, and yeah, right. I also really appreciate, you know, she said, "I had a kid," you know, yeah, she doesn't say have. It's not present tense, but past tense scene. And yeah, the thing about, you know, well, this is 2 rooms, so 2 questions, and you have the if you find anything, does a hallway count as a room? If you find something useful, all I could find is this. Does this count? It counts, you know, because like he really wants to know, and at this point she's getting more comfortable talking to him about this. And yeah, right, I like another mention of comic books. One of the corpses had a comic book on them, so that was also, yeah, good contrast there. Something, you know, fun, and then a dead body. Let's see. I think that, yeah, you know, she's like about to hang up the painting, I guess, and realizes it's kind of morbid. Checks the room, and yeah, finds the dead bodies, and you know, he's like, oh, there's a dead kid in there, isn't there? And she's like, no, it's a dog. There were, yeah, and you know, I happen to personally think that that is not the most convincing lie. That, yeah, but you know, she wants to protect him, and yeah, I guess that pretty well covers. I feel like there was one more thing. I did just briefly want to mention in an earlier episode. It was kind of adorable that, you know, he's seen it in movies. He's seen adults do it. So he, you know, Carl tries to like break down a door by you know, what's it called? Like shoulder checking it. Let's go with that. And it's like, you do not have enough weight and muscle to make that kind of thing work. But yeah, you know, he wants to grow up. He wants to be an adult. I think that might just about cover. You know what? I just realized I have not read trivia. I'm just going to skim it and see if there's anything. There we go. Okay, let's see. Okay, you got to read at least some of these trivia. The top one is... Okay, I'm just gonna, yeah. Andrew Lincoln performs most of his own stunts, including the drop from the roof. However, he did say the most dangerous part was being distracted by co-star Norman Reedus, who was mooning him from below. I didn't think I could love Norman Reedus more. Let's see. Oh, yeah. There's a Boondock Saints poster. Norman Reedus movie. And... yeah, I think that might be... Eugene... okay, yeah. In the Talking Dead poll, the question was, what's the most terrifying thing in the zombie apocalypse? Eugene's mullet won by 47%. Damn. Let's see... I'm sorry, this is adorable. Actress Christiane Serrato says she is the polar opposite of her character Rosita. In fact, she is so afraid of knives, she buys food that doesn't need to be cut. That's really sweet. Yeah, I think that does pretty well cover. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the Terminus thing is going to play out. It's obviously going to be a thing. They keep bringing it up. I did briefly think that maybe this episode was directed by Greg Nicotero, because he makes such, you know, fascinating, smart decisions. You know, not trying to give a backhand compliment here. But no, it's directed by someone else, Seth something. Sorry, my wrists really need the rest right now, so I'm gonna have to not look it up. But yeah, he did a great job. I really do love the choice of, yeah, having, what's it called? The perspective always stay with Rick. When, you know, in the house, like it would not have worked anywhere near as well if we had every so often seen one of the other, you know, yeah, something from someone else's perspective there. Yeah, Michonne tells Rick, you know, I'm taking a break from breaks. Meanwhile, he's going to take a break from breaking from breaks. Right. Yeah. The thing about going to DC. Yeah. I mean, maybe he's looking for Trump to pardon him for something. I mean, Abraham, or maybe he just heard Trump is inviting every white guy who's afraid, and he can just tell him, oh, we're running from like black people. It's something like that. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what happens next. Tuh. And trying to think of a pithy line to end on. Did somebody actually say the name Eugene? I'm not sure I heard anyone, because I'm just trying to figure out how they even know. Oh, right. No, yeah. I know now. He was wearing a dorky name tag that says, "Hello, my name is Eugene."